Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura, and tonight it's just me and Rodrigo. Man, Rodrigo, how you been, dude?
I've been good. How's everybody? All the listeners out there, shout out. Hope y'all are good.
Man, I think if you did not wake up on the what's it called with the right foot, you didn't do it right, man. Especially with Dynamo doing so well.
You did it
But
right.
man, obviously we're gonna definitely focus our time talking about the U.S. Open Cup, talking about the Dynamo and kind of where it's all going. But just start off with if you guys need to connect with us, check out Bayou City Soccer.net. Check all our social medias under Bayou City Soccer. Make sure you follow, subscribe, like, rate, review, man. It's all very helpful. And thanks so much for the support that you guys give us, man. If you feel like buying us a beer, check out our website. There's a link there that you can give us a little tip, a little donation. That goes a long way. So, in case you guys are interested in helping out the soccer community and help us cover the game, fans being fans type of stuff, man, feel free to reach out and do that. And also word of our, obviously our sponsor, Senate Avenue, man, make sure to check them out. They're out there in Jersey Village and 290 and Bellway 8. Andrew and his gang, man, will take care of you. They have great beer, really good food. Rodrigo, you're down here. We need to go out there, man, because so you can check it out. I'm sure we'll start brewing something, and hopefully, if it all goes well, maybe we can go over there and watch the U.S. Open Cup final, since we probably won't be able to fly to that game, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, so make sure you check out Senate Avenue. Go give them, go try them out. They're again great facility. You will love it. Go out there for the EPL as well. Houston Dynamo, Houston Dash. And if not, if you just want to watch the Astros or the Texans, go out there and watch it, man. That's for sure. Check them out at Senate Avenue. And if you wanted to be one of our sponsors, we would love to take more sponsors in. So, if you have a business you want to promote, or you just, there's something that you want to promote, let us know. And we would love to get in touch with you. And, maybe can become one of our proud sponsors of the show and of Bayou City Soccer. But Rodrigo, man, lots of soccer. Obviously, last weekend, it all started with the Houston Dash. They ended up playing at home, ended up drawing the match late in the game, basically.
Rescuing a point.
Yeah, rescuing the point, man. Maria Sanchez hadn't had the best game, and she was able to find that tying goal that gives a little bit of a, I don't know if it's, yeah,
Hope.
I don't know if it's necessarily the best thing ever, but it's better than zero. So that, yeah, a little bit of hope. The standings are still not looking all that great. They're still standing in 9th place. Yeah, there's only, about 5 points away from the 6th place that makes it into the playoffs, but it's such a tight race in this matchup that, you don't have, I guess there's 6 games left, so you shouldn't be dropping home or points at home. I'm sorry. And now the Dash are back at home Saturday against Casey Curran, who basically lately has been trashing them. So we're hoping that the Dash can get it together, get points, vital points. This is basically you have
Two more home games.
2 more home games. Yeah, that's crazy. So out of the
3
6
away games in a row. So that's gonna be the
rough,
tough one there.
That's gonna be rough. But yeah, man, that's a game that maybe, you know what? I may make it out to that game. I don't know. Maybe. It'd be a good one to go to, being that there's only 2 more left. But yeah, man, definitely buy some tickets. Go, support the Dash. The ladies really need all the support they can get as they try to make it into the playoffs. That is for sure. And then obviously the other game that took place was Houston Dynamo. They went out to the West and visited San Jose Earthquakes 2. A game that they looked like they had, man, Rodrigo. They were on top of it. They looked great. And it came all crashing down with a 4-3 beat against San Jose, taking that game. And now they'll be playing against Galaxy 2 this weekend on Sunday night. So it'd be at home. We probably have tickets for that. If you're interested and you listen to this podcast, reach out to one of our social medias and we'll hook you up with tickets for that match. But Rodrigo, I mean, those are still looking good. They still, obviously in a good area to qualify for the playoffs, man. But again, they have 3 games out of the 5 remaining at home, so you can't drop any points.
Yeah, I mean the boys, boys to men. Yeah, they've been trying to hold it down. They had a pretty good streak going and uh um just happened to somehow collapse on this one after going up 3-1.
Yeah, a little rare to see. Every time we see them, score a lot of goals, they really haven't, been dropped the ball, for lack of words, as bad as they did on this match. But again, Kenny Bundy and his boys will try to continue to push to get to the playoffs and just keep that momentum going and, making it back-to-back seasons. And then we move to the very extremely joyful, tense, dramatic, stressful game that we got to see during the week. That is the Houston Dynamo taking on the Real Salt Lake U.S. Open Cup match. Rodrigo, you were there, so let's just get, man, your feelings on the atmosphere. Or, what did you enjoy about the game before we move into breaking it down a little?
Yeah, I mean like me and you were kind of talking offline before this, but the atmosphere was great. Even though I wish it would have been more sold out than it was. I feel like the supporter group were actually showed up and they made noise, all around the fans as well. Everybody was kind of joined together, actually being loud, which to me it's it surprises me sometimes because, seeing the games that people are actually excited for, it's the big stars, when they come here, the LA Galaxy, the um, LAFC, those kind of teams. I'm sure Messi's here. It will definitely be sold out. Everybody and their mom would be there. And with this one, being Real Salt Lake not being the most popular team, the most prettiest team, we still had a pretty good crowd showing, to support this. Maybe had to do something with the fact that if we win, we're gonna most likely could be going against Inter Miami since, prior to that game, well, people didn't really know who was going to be the finalists. I think we all kind of suspected it was going to be Miami just because of the run that they had and how they've started, I guess, their season now with Messi and company. But man, the game, out there taking pictures with our boy Billy, it's kind of hard because you do want to get into the game and you want to celebrate the good moments or bad moments or shout, but no, you got to stay calm, stay where you're at. And atmosphere was great. We got a good shots, good um of the player celebrations, and overall, you just get to enjoy the game a little bit more, especially when the stakes are this high going into our, what would this be? Is it our third final, US Open Cup final?
I think it's the second.
Second?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought we lost one. I don't know. But yeah, I guess our second one, and hopefully we can take it away from Messi. But if you want to get
Yeah,
into the
and I mean,
game,
to
let's talk
start,
about it.
you looked at the lineup and it was a copy paste from the last matchup on the last weekend. Big win too, the 5-0 win. And the only difference was the goalie Tarbell, who has been playing, I believe, all the US Open Cup games. So, he was given that opportunity to compete as the starting goalkeeper. And, you look at the team and on paper, it was going to be a tight match no matter what. Real Salt Lake has been doing really good. I mean, they hadn't lost a game since like early June, I think, or even May. It's been a long time since they had seen a defeat. And then when they were able to sign Chicho Arango, the striker, just helped the team to finally be able to find, or get a goal scorer, something that they were missing. They play very well, they defend very well, and having the ability to find a pure striker that knows the league. If you follow MLS, you know who he is. He's a guy, that ran it at LAFC, helped them win a championship. So it's a guy that had a lot of value to bring. And again, he was just making this good team even better. And if you come into this match, you knew it was going to be tough no matter what. And so seeing the players for Houston do what they did was pretty amazing. And I mean, Rodrigo, we'll just start right away with the goals, man. I mean, it was a hard fought game. You were on the side where the first goal happens. Technically, there's a second goal, right? But in the 45th minute, with 5 minutes added on, you get Acha to get the team, get the lead for the team, scoring a pretty good goal. Big celebration from him. And just your thoughts on that first goal, man, the euphoria, I guess, that it cost.
Yeah, I mean, everybody erupted. Obviously, being right there where the supporter group is, it's loud. It looks nice. The what do you call it? The smoke that they kind of do, the show, all that kind of stuff is good.
The flag.
But yeah, the flag, everything. If you haven't been to a game, it really gets. It's a nice atmosphere. I wish, like I mentioned earlier, I wish it was bigger. I wish more people would come out, and definitely, if you like soccer, if you just want to support the team, yes, they're doing well, but even when they're not, y'all should go out there. It's fun. You'll have lots of fun. Yes, it's hot, but it gets a little bit cooler, so it's nicer, especially this time around as
Yeah.
the temperatures are kind of dropping a bit. But yeah, just everything leading up to the goal, man. Like I love, watching the game live instead of on TV or anything like that, because you see all the movement and um Quinones, everything he's been doing. This is one of those players that he's young, and I don't know if he's just so used to watching players at a high level and trying to mimic them, because he's one of those players that I see him being on the touchline all the time, like just stuck to it, which is great because other players tend to start creeping in, and then, a defender will just kind of catch up to you real quick, pulls you in, you don't do much. But being on the outside, most defenders are not gonna go and follow you because they'll leave a pretty big gap open. But the momentum and the passing between him, Basi, Herrera on that side was honestly one of the best I've seen. And, leading up to the goal, obviously it was kind of, I guess, a lucky bounce at Herrera, or not lucky bounce, but it fell on his feet, and he was able to put it away. But just the things that go outside of creating the plays, creating the shots, they're the Dynamo. I think me and Billy were talking about, like, this is the most we've seen the Dynamo actually shoot,
Yeah.
just towards the goal, really, because I think they had over like
That
20
30,
something
30,
shots. Yeah,
30 total
30
shots.
shots.
It's crazy.
And
Yeah.
then it was funny, we were joking around because I remember seeing like 20 something shots, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure only 5 been on target. And yeah, we checked, it was like 6 at the time. But obviously they ended up with a higher on target rate. But sometimes, how they've been playing against Portland, how they've been playing, or how they played last night against Real Salt Lake, there's times that they just do need to take shots. I mean, they've been playing like nice and fancy, and what do you call that? That champagne football,
Yeah.
with the heel passes, the little wall passes, side to side kind of thing. But when you're in front of a goal, I feel like a lot of players been hesitating. Basi, one of them. Coco at times. Herrera's the only one that he just says, F it, take a shot, and he tries,
Sure.
and it either hits a player, hits something, but at least he's just not afraid to just be like, just take it, if it bounces back, whatever, or misses. But I think we need more of that. And just the way they've been playing, the way their passing has been, Red has been leading that, I feel like, and Coco, just the way they see the gaps, they see the players just opening up. Um, it's just nice to watch, and I feel like Ben and um at this time, at this far in the season, has been, I feel like everybody's finally starting to know how everybody plays with each other, and they understand, I guess, what Ben is trying to create of that more passing game, more um, play it a little bit, get the wings going, get it more wide, and try to look in, which is nice to see. We've talked about Nagamura and what he tried to bring, and it was just not gonna, I guess, work
It
with
didn't
him.
work.
Yeah, it didn't work, and
It
it
wasn't that
wasn't
it
like,
wasn't gonna work. It just didn't work. Yeah.
yeah, like the vision wasn't there. The plan was there, just the execution failed.
Yeah.
But with Ben now, it looks like he knows how to either convey everything to the players so they actually make good decisions. Um, and it's working so far. I mean, 8 goals in 2 games in
Yeah.
less than 3 days
Crazy.
apart. I mean, that tells you that the team's really improving. And we get to see Real Salt Lake again this weekend.
Yeah. And it's funny
So
because
that's gonna be interesting.
you mentioned the 8 goals in 2 games. I mean, the Dynamo had to score like 1 or 2 goals in like 8 games. So, it's good to see them finally kind of finding the back of the net for sure. But yeah, you after Herrera scored, there's also that questionable call of Corey Bear scores. To me, looking at it right away, I was like, "There's no way. Why are they calling an offside?" And you even asked me like, "Man, I haven't even seen the replay again." But it just to me it's a no call. It makes no sense. Chicho Arango is on the on the inner side, I guess, of the play. So the one who's offside is Corey Barrett. I don't know how they're saying that he's pushing Chicho to like let Coco be on side to make no sense. It's basically the opposite. And that just didn't seem like a clear enough foul or offside call for me, at least. I mean, unless there was like a angle that they didn't show on TV. I don't know. But to me, that was a clear goal. That should have been 2-0 for the Dynamo going into halftime. And for how good I mentioned that RSL, doing, they just were, a shadow of themselves. And we know obviously the game ends up getting tied, in the 64th minute by RSL. The match goes on to extra time. Possession for the Dynamo was just almost 70% of the ball was theirs. 30 shots total. I believe 14 shots on target, 10 on target. So it's just crazy the work rate that the Dynamo were doing. And me being able to not make the game and having to watch it from home made me, compared to you, man, I guess I got to enjoy it, or actually probably be even more into the game. And knowing the history that, following the Dynamo, that there's a collapse happening, right? That's kind of like the PTSD that we have as Dynamo fans, how, okay, the game is tied 1-1. This is not going to end well. That it leads you to believe that way. But even with Houston just
Especially
having so many
those back
opportunities,
passes.
huh?
Those back passes, man.
Yes. Well, and
When
I
they
was
were
gonna say,
starting to, like, I guess, feel cornered, and they kept, RSL was trying to pressure as much as they could. They kept trying to pass back, and it was just like those one touch back passes, either to Tarbell, either just to the defense in general. And I'm just like, oh man, you guys are making me so nervous. Like, you guys are about to lose it.
well, and those passes, but I was gonna say how many opportunities were missed too after Ibrahim Aliou came in. He had 2 or 3 that it was
Oh
just like,
yeah,
dude, toe kick it in,
yeah.
dude, and it wasn't happening. I mean, there was for sure two that he was right in front of goal. One that he
And bad
completely
decision
just
making too.
whiffed.
That just
Yeah, and so that was aggravating because you could see how good the Dynamo were playing. You could see that opportunities were getting created, and you missed like 3 big chances, to make it to increase the lead. So again, it just added on more pressure. I'm like, my God, like I've seen this story before. I've seen it end bad for the Dynamo.
one thing I would say though about RSL, not saying that, obviously they've been doing pretty well in their season, especially like you mentioned, Chicho Arango arrived, but they were like, I don't know if it was the heat. I don't know if, maybe they've been taking it light at training. I mean, the last time they played, I think, was against LAFC for the Leagues Cup, and they
Right.
didn't have a game in the weekend like we did. But they just looked dead out there after 30 minutes. They just seemed like they couldn't get it together. I think the water break and all that kind of helped get a little bit, finish that the half. But they just felt like we kept seeing them, and they're like, dude, these guys are just don't look in shape, or they're not keeping up with,
Yeah,
props to
and I definitely
to
think it was
Ben and the
because
Dynamo that they kept, holding on, or like looking fit, but RSL looked like they were really struggling out there.
for sure. And I think it's definitely the weather, the heat was definitely something Houston was able to take advantage of to an extent, but you could also see, and I'm sure you were there right in front of it, towards the end of it, obviously we know Hector Herrera, he's your captain, the pivotal piece in the lineup. And for him to come out, I mean, you could see why. I mean, towards the end of his time there, it was like he's dragging his feet. His passes were not as accurate as they were in the beginning. So, I mean, it doesn't matter, for Houston, obviously. And you go to extra time. So that on 30 more minutes, to a game that you already thought 90 minutes in when the game looked to be over for Houston, possibly. Knowing that you're going to play another 30 minutes, it's crazy. It's really crazy, man.
Yeah, and I mean they managed to pull through, which that especially with the whole red card incident, that this, I don't complain as much as like the officiating as a lot of people do. But in this case, the linesman and the main and the center ref, they were just not what do
Well,
you
you
call
guys
it?
were right in front of it when it happened too, huh?
Yeah, we were right there, but they were not in unison. They were not
Sure.
communicating well. Um, and I think the crowd influenced the ref in a couple decisions, but there was things that were so obvious. I mean, when Coco got pushed by the goalkeeper
Yeah.
in the second half, that was a clear like Coco's outside the 18, the linesman's right there. He was trying to tell something to the main ref. Obviously, the crowd got pretty loud, so he couldn't hear him over the little communication thing. But that's at least, I don't know. I mean, at least the yellow for the goalkeeper. I mean, you're touching another player that's in your face. That's like that. You can't just let him go off, but like, oh, there's no foul, there's no anything. Like, okay, well
Well,
then don't push him, or if not, give the yellow to Coco because he's interfering with the goalkeeper. But he wasn't. He was literally on
but
top of the 18.
at the end of the day, that red card, it was already like, the game was basically over. Coco had scored. So my question to you is, how good was Coco, man? Obviously, we've been asking for Coco to take over. We know that he's great in transition. He's not the most creative player. He's not the more skillful player when it comes to like, juking people or why not, like a number 10 per se. But he breaks you with the vision, he breaks you with the passing. But I think we had been asking Coco to do what he did on that goal, to be able to find a little bit of open space and not being afraid to hit. And I think Coco started to shoot, and I don't know about you if you saw it this way, but I felt like Coco started to shoot when he started to get tired, like he wasn't gonna make that long stride towards goal. So I felt like he was finally letting it rip. And it was great because it worked that goal, man. I mean, that's basically what it was. He kind of moved a little, got an open opportunity and hit that so good. So good to see Coco score, man.
Yeah, I mean that could have been a factor for him to, or to start shooting more than trying to dribble through, because that was one thing that we were seeing a lot. It was a lot of almost inside the six. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but almost inside the six. Um, um, give and goes, 1-2s, and I'm like, dude, somebody just hit it. Like, and at some point, we're just thinking, like, man, just hit it from like 8, 20, 25 yards out. Um, Coco was able to get a nice shot in. And just the movement that Coco brings, like when Herrera and Coco are on the field, I feel like they know exactly how they like to play because just the movement between both of them, either to pull people off the wingers or just, to create more space or just simply to get open. And there was one play that I really liked that Herrera was looking at. I want to say it was Dorsey at that time on the wing, and Coco was in the middle. And I just see Coco take off, and I'm like, oh, that's a perfect ball for Coco. But Herrera was looking at Dorsey, and the defenders were looking at Dorsey because they're like, oh, he's going over there. And then he just threw balls it right through Coco. And I'm like, damn, see, like that's the vision, that's the tactic of both Herrera and Coco being in the same page of like, hey, I'm gonna
Right.
make this run behind this guy. Dorsey's pulling the mark, and he was wide open. I don't think. I
Well,
mean,
and
I
that
can't
that's
remember what that
funny
ended up in.
because we've had this conversation, right? I mean, I don't want to bring that whole debate of like where to place Coco, whether he's a 10, whether he's a wing. But I feel that in this game, we finally saw, I mean, Bassi and Coco kind of find a place in the team, if that makes sense. Like they both excel. Uh, Messi, I mean Messi. But Bassi's better than Messi. Bassi got three assists, sorry. And then obviously Coco got a goal, played very well. But it's good to finally see both of those guys because at one point it was hard to figure out where they would play together well because at times you would put Coco as a 10 and Bassi would get lost on the wing. You put Bassi as a 10 and Coco gets lost on the wing. So I feel like there was a little bit more freedom um from maybe Ben Olsen, allowing them to do a little bit more of just rotating and being, kind of changing areas or not necessarily positions, but just moving around on the field where they found themselves with open space to be able to be effective. And that's kind
Uh,
of what I got out of that game.
I mean, but I think essentially Coco ends up being an eight. Like the way he plays, he's just really, box to box. Um, really good in the defensive side of things when he's playing to track back, to cut, passes, to make sure, the team's not advancing as much in the defensive side. But honestly, like he just goes more inside, and I feel like that's what he feels comfortable. And I'm sure Ben's like, hey, I'm just putting a lineup. This is kind of what it looks like. Because when you look at it, the wings with the left backs, right backs, they are the ones doing all the pushing up, the crossing for the most part.
Yeah, the
You
fullbacks.
do
Yeah,
get Quinones, who does pretty well. Barrett obviously goes mostly on the outside as well, but that allows Coco to play more inside and with Herrera in a way. I feel like it just keeps shifting to Basi. I think he's more like a nine, false nine, if anything. But it works, I like not playing with, I guess, a true forward.
sure.
And this is, I guess, what people don't understand about Sebas and Ben and being like, oh, why is he not playing this guy? Why is he not playing our DP? Because it doesn't work with the system. It worked with this system.
Right.
If they bring a really good false nine into the Dynamo, the Dynamo could potentially be one of the best teams
Yeah.
just because they already have everything else. They might lack a little bit here in defensively wise, bring a good center back, somebody with experience, somebody that can command the back line. Um, but as far as the midfield goes and the wings, I feel like they're starting to everybody find their position, find their role, and it's working. I mean, I like what Ben has done with the team so far. Hopefully, he can get us that trophy that everybody's desperately waiting on again,
Yeah.
and we can get that playoff push as well.
Yeah, and obviously Caicedo, ends up scoring the third goal. Basically, the game was already over, and he just put the seal stamp of approval to get Houston into the final against Inter Miami. And I guess it was great because playing Miami, automatically gives Houston a spot in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So they're already right there. You already know that you have international play coming up next season. That's great. It's great for the team because that has to push, the front office to create even more depth for the team, knowing that you have more competitions to be a part of. And I mean, the exposure is great. Having that opportunity to play that tournament is great. But again, that's next season. We can't really worry or talk too much about it. We don't even know, what teams are gonna be drawn for the Dynamo. But at the end of the day, you win this match and it takes you as a final again against Miami. Sorry, with Lionel Messi, whose team looked like they were out themselves in their matchup against Cincy, and just the way that Lionel Messi is gonna do it, a little bit of
One
magic.
phone call to extend the game, 9 more minutes, 10 more minutes.
Gets
It was really
right
the until
late
Inter
goal.
Miami scores.
Yeah,
We'll
90
we'll
plus
stop the
10
play.
basically.
Right.
Yeah, just add a couple more minutes. But you know what? At the end of the day, the opportunity is there. The most talented player on the field gets the ball, has a perfect cross. And we saw Campana like missed a wide open goal in League's Cup. So for him to get that header in the last minute, last second of the game to tie it up and take the game to extra time is great. Then we see obviously them scoring again and going to penalties, and they played a hard fought match. But I mean, this matchup Houston against Miami, man, has been one that at least us Houston fans have been kind of wanting. League's Cup came short. The Dynamo not beating Charlotte, but now we get to see Houston against Miami. September 27, I believe it's probably gonna be like a 7:30 kickoff,
Oh.
man.
Our time, their
Yeah, I think
time.
our
Our
time
time
is
is
gonna
yeah.
be
Our time's gonna be
7:30
8.
or maybe 8:30.
I think over here it's gonna be 8:30. Over there should be 7:30.
No, then it's 6:30 here. Then, if it's 7:30 over there, then it's 6:30
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's what I'm thinking. It's probably gonna be 7:30, maybe, like play a late game
Yeah,
just so
that's right.
everybody can watch it. But
Yeah, you gotta think about those West Coast people.
yeah, exactly. So, but no, man. I mean, it's fantastic. I think it's great for Houston. I mean, you want as a fan. I want them to win that trophy, for sure. I mean, more trophies than any other Texas team helps for sure. Um, but yeah, it's one of those that so great. Sucks that it's in Miami because tickets are gonna be up the wazoo. I think the supporters were saying that there's only about 100 tickets allocated to them, and I believe they start like at 150 or 190. I don't know, but it's not gonna be cheap, man. I mean, if you're planning to go, you're able to find tickets, man. Go have fun, go
There's
support the
gonna
team.
be everything else around there too. I mean, I feel like hotels are gonna be
Oh
crazy
yeah, your flight.
expensive.
I looked at flights and flights were cheap, and now they're not. Like I looked again earlier today, and out of nowhere they got a bump because obviously everybody's buying them, and like just to get out there, especially like Southwest or something like that. They're not cheap, man. They're not cheap.
Just
But
fly.
it's crazy because I was talking about why probably we won't go. Jokingly, we had Don Garver, the commissioner for MLS, was in town showing off the new Houston Dynamo headquarters, which is literally across the street from the stadium. Really good for them, for the workers there, obviously, because I think for the longest time, I mean, I think since the beginning of time, they've been at George R. Brown for since they moved at least to the stadium in Edo. So it's been a long time coming, and now they're in that position. But the joke was like, "Hey man, are you gonna fly some of the media guys to cover the game?" It's just kind of like, "Can we go on the private planes?" Jokingly. But Rodrigo, you and me are gonna be at the Sporting Kansas City match that Saturday before the
That
game,
seems
man.
weak now. I'm like,
It does seem
damn.
weak.
We should
It
have picked
seems
the
so
other
weak.
one.
Like, damn it.
Technically, we can still get refunds through Southwest, I think.
Hey, we can. You know what? We can look into it. We can definitely
I'm just kidding.
look. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just hoping they win. If I'm able to go for some reason, I told my wife
I
about
hope
it,
it's a
and she
good
was
game.
like,
Yes. I
I just want it to
hope
be,
the Dynamo can win and bring a trophy in,
yeah, you
and
don't want them to get
I want to
smoked.
keep,
Like,
yeah, I
yeah,
want to keep Ben around. I feel like him winning a trophy will keep him around
sure.
longer than, and actually fulfill all his potential that he can probably bring to the team. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want to get destroyed like a four
Yeah.
zero, 5-0, because everybody's going to be watching. I wanted a
Everybody's gonna
nice
be
close
watching.
game.
It's gonna be, they're at home, full stadium, kind of, it's different environment altogether. But I think Houston has a shot, man. I think Houston has been playing well. Now they can keep the momentum. They still have,
For a month.
yeah, exactly. I think they have like 5 games actually before that. 6, no, more than that actually. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games before that game. So, I mean, there's a lot of games to play still, before that final. A lot of things can happen, injuries, things like that happen in the game. So, it's really hard to think ahead right now. So, because of that, I'm just going to cut it into RSL. Obviously, Houston's going to be playing RSL at RSL. That has to suck for Real Salt Lake, after, the meaningful match per se was the one to get into the final. So Houston does not do great playing on the road. I hope we see some of the main players get some rest because they really need it, because it's going to start kicking off. You get RSL on Saturday, then you play on Wednesday at home. Columbus actually will have tickets for that game, for the Columbus match. So keep an eye out too for a giveaway on that. And then they play the second. They'll play LA. So basically, in the span of 2 weeks, you get 4 games. So plenty of games for Dynamo. I think rest is essential, especially like players like Hector Herrera who give everything out. Coco give everything out. So we need those guys fit. Another guy that we didn't even mention, man, Arthur. Arthur had a fantastic game. He was just cleaning everything. It was incredible. But players like that, the depth is not necessarily the best for us. It's getting better compared to other years. People are actually kind of stepping up. So just hoping that Houston is able to get some points at RSL would be great. But the chances are kind of low for me. But Radu, man, what are your thoughts on RSL? Maybe your prediction, and
Mm,
yeah.
I feel like it's gonna be a heated game, especially because the way it ended with the whole fight, the whole red card,
Mhm.
um, them losing, missing out on a final. I feel it's gonna be a heated game. I understand that, you want to rest players, you want to keep those players that play, I guess, the longer minutes, give them some rest, which is fine. But at the same time, you got to remember, we're still trying to make playoffs. We still
Yeah.
have a decent amount of away games that we're not good at going away. Um,
Right.
and if you're gonna win one of the remaining games, I feel like has to be one of them, at least to give us more of a chance than when we come, to Shelley Stadium to actually get the win. Because I feel like the way the schedule's looking, it's gonna be tough to win those away games, and we would at least need one or two. I feel like this would be one of them, especially now that their morale might be a little bit low. RSL's morale will be a little bit low, and Dynamo can take full advantage of that. Sure, get some fresh legs in, but keep that same kind of like a round two. Just keep the same momentum they had on Wednesday night, and hopefully they can get another win.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I at the end of the day, you want to see them continue to get points because, like the meeting today, talking, especially hearing from, majority owner Ted Siegel mentioning, it's great that we made the U.S. Open Cup final. It's great that we went further than maybe a lot of people thought in Leagues Cup. But at the end of the day, the main objective for us is to make the playoffs. So, when you have a game with 3 important points, you need to get those 3 points, or get however many points are available. So I don't think that Van Olsen is going to be a guy that's going to say, well, this is a loss type of thing. He's going to fight for it. He's going to set up his team well, or at least attempt to. Now, if he needs to tweak it, then obviously we'll see modifications to the game itself. He has proven that he's able to adapt and change the overall tactics of the game as needed, even though he will play similar lineups. But Rodrigo will have plenty of time to talk about Miami, Houston. We'll got plenty of time to talk about the next coming game, man. But if you can tell the people how they can connect with us, man.
Yep. Yeah. Like always, you guys can get in touch with us on IG and Twitter at Bayou City Soccer. You can find Rudy at Rudy Segura 3. You can find me at Rodrigo Segura 01. Our boy Christian, who's not here with us, but he's usually, I want to say, 99% of the time with us. You can find him at Chris Putalias. And for anything, all the content, everything we share on our social medias, you can always go to biocitysoccer.net. Yeah, just message us, rate us. I don't know, whatever Rudy said earlier.
And feel free to close it out, dude.
But yeah, with that, guys, we appreciate you guys listening. Thank you, Houston fans. And remember to always hold it down and keep it forever orange.